Okay, well, let's begin. And just as an introduction, I'm Anthony Stanowski. I'm the president and CEO of the Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education. Welcome to today's session. What we're going to look at today is the CAHME Joint Commission Fellowship. Give you a little background on what the fellowship's all about. We're fortunate today that we have Mark Crafton from the Joint Commission here today to kind of represent what's going on from the Joint Commission's perspective. And then Sadie Joba from the first CAHME Joint Commission Fellow, and she'll tell you what her experiences are today as well. And what I'll ask you is if you have questions, if you can put your questions in the chat room, we'll address them all at the end. And at the end, too, we'll leave some time if you want to ask questions directly to do that. But this way we go through our presentation, and usually a lot of questions are covered in that. So what we'll look at today is some brief introductions, talk a little bit about CAHME, or the Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education. Some of you may know a little bit more or a little bit less about CAHME. Go through the Joint Commission, who they are, and I think most of you do know who the Joint Commission is. We'll talk about the fellowship and give you an overview of what that will look like. Talk about leadership development and the access to some great mentors through this program. Sadie will cover what Oak Brook Terrace is like and the greater Chicago area and some of the things in the environment in which it's located. Talk about the applications requirements, and then we'll save some time at the end for questions and answers. So again, as a brief introduction, I'm Anthony Stanowski. I'm the president and CEO of CAHME, the Commission on Accreditation of Health Management Education. Mark Crafton is the executive director for Strategic Alliances, Mission Development, and Organization Engagement for the Joint Commission. And just as an aside, Mark also sits on our Standards Council board and is helping CAHME along in our process with that. We have a great relationship with Joint Commission, very proud of with that. And this fellowship is really an example of that synergy that kind of occurs in there. We're really fortunate. Sadie Joba, our first fellow, is on the call as well today. Sadie comes from Rush University, and again, she's our first fellow. A little bit about CAHME. So CAHME was founded back in 1968 as a response to President Johnson's Great Society programs. What we wanted to do is make sure that the students graduating from the great universities in the United States and in Canada, which was going through their own form of Medicare at that time, those students are well prepared to lead. So 4 organizations got together: the American Hospital Association, American College of Health Executives, the Association of University Programs and Health Administration, and the American Society for Public Health, and created standards and criteria for graduate programs to meet. And those criteria and standards really kind of formed our accreditation process. Now, accreditation changed a lot over the past 55 or so years, but it's still the basic format, which is making sure that students, in our vision, students are well prepared to lead. Students are well prepared to lead. The mission of CAHME, because of that, is serving the public interest by advancing the quality of healthcare management education. We're not just there kind of checking off the boxes. We want programs to get better. And the values of CAHME: integrity, excellence, transparency, fairness, and recognition, all kind of fits into what we're all about. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mark, who'll talk about the Joint Commission.
Thank you, Anthony. It's great to be with you all. The Joint Commission is the nation's oldest and largest accrediting and standard-setting organization for the healthcare industry. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We are independent. A lot of people associate our work with Medicare compliance, but we are not an arm of the federal government. We are actually an independent organization. We were founded in 1951. We accredit and certify just over 23,000 healthcare organizations domestically here in the United States. We have a wholly owned affiliate called Joint Commission International that accredits and certifies healthcare facilities globally in nearly 80 countries and I think over 1,200 different kinds of facilities across the globe. Our company headquarters is here in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois. We also have an office in the District of Columbia that does government relations work for us, and 3 international offices in Singapore, Dubai, and the most recent one is in Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So here's a bit of information about our mission, vision, and our values. I won't read through them all, but you'll see that there's a common thread and really a lot of connectivity to the CAHME mission and vision statements as well. We're here for the public. We truly believe that the ultimate consumer of our work, even though healthcare organizations pay us to come in and conduct their evaluation, the ultimate consumer is the patient, the public, you and I, when we need to access healthcare. We're the ultimate beneficiaries of the work that the Joint Commission does. We certainly evaluate organizations, and I gave you that 23,000 number that we evaluate, but we also inspire them, and we've learned to inspire them in more ways than just putting people on airplanes and sending surveyors out and conducting evaluations on site. But we can do educational programs. We can create online educational tools, policy manuals, put out best practices, multiple ways to inspire organizations to provide effective, high quality, and high value care. That latest piece about value across all settings is fairly new for the Joint Commission. We've always talked about our impact on quality and safety, but now we're also getting into the realm of value because we see a lot of costs built into the healthcare delivery system that are duplicative, redundant, unnecessary tests, unnecessary procedures. So we are looking to expand beyond just quality and safety and looking into value across all settings. These are currently our list of corporate values. I will say, in full transparency, we are going down to 4 in a couple months, so it'll be a little easier to portray. Next slide, Sadie. So a little bit about the fellowship. The fellowship is certainly based fundamentally on environmental sustainability. That is the name of the fellowship, and that is what we want our fellows to be primarily engaged in, but not just limited to environmental sustainability. We have such a breadth of impact across the healthcare organizations that we accredit and certify that there's just so many opportunities for the fellow to learn about healthcare and how the Joint Commission impacts healthcare across all these settings. But it is, again, fundamentally focused on environmental sustainabilty. And I will say with Sadie Joba, our inaugural fellow, we hit the Powerball jackpot of sustainability fellows when we were able to recruit Sadie to this position because she's not only with us to learn, but she is truly leading very important components of the work that we're doing across the country and across the globe in environmental sustainability because of her very unique background, both in her preparatory work in her master's program, but also her work experience has just been unbelievably helpful to our enterprise. A little bit about project-based. Again, the focus is sustainability, but we have the flexibility to tailor the program. If the candidate does not have as much experience with environmental sustainability as Sadie brings to us, we will certainly go into a mode of teaching and getting that fellow up to speed and experience with all we do in environmental sustainability. But we also want to have this experience for the fellow to include our work in quality and safety. So the fellow will not only attend reviews for our sustainable healthcare certification, but we also will give them opportunities to attend a 3 or 4 day hospital accreditation survey so that they can see the full gamut of the evaluations that the Joint Commission does in 4,200 hospitals across the country. We will have this fellow being exposed to marketing and the sales function. This fellow will be working with our marketing teams to set up a conference where we would attend domestically. I'll also mention that we're just starting the planning work on a really high impact global conference that will showcase our work and the organizations that we are aligned with, including CAHME, that we really are excited about and are going to be working hard on over the next 18 months, which will certainly overlap with this upcoming fellowship window. We have the ability for this fellow to understand our work in government relations. So working with our team that goes out to state legislatures and advocates for policies around healthcare staffing, any topics that are relevant to quality and safety. We have a message to share. And because of our stature and our brand awareness among healthcare, lots of organizations give us the opportunity to share our perspective. As I mentioned, we have a DC office, so we can have this individual attend congressional committee hearings and meetings, again, for the purposes of learning and advocacy. I talked about the on-site reviews. There will be an opportunity that Anthony can speak to about working on the CAHME site visits with accredited universities, but definitely an opportunity to participate and observe Joint Commission accreditation and certification work.
And then I will begin to talk about some of the projects that I have taken a part of since I have been at the Joint Commission, which has only been about 2 months. So I've been able to see a variety of different things already and really just get integrated into the system. So first and foremost, I'd like to discuss the Sustainable Healthcare Certification, which Mark touched on briefly previously. But the Sustainable Healthcare Certification was released by the Joint Commission as a voluntary certification this past January in 2024. And hospitals and health systems are able to apply for this certification to show what work they are doing in environmental sustainability and to mitigate the effects of climate change within the healthcare sector. So with this certification, I have already been able to sit in on some hospital as well as health system reviews, just sitting and observing, being able to ask questions to the leaders that are doing this work at different institutions, and taking that feedback and those observations back to find ways that we are able to strengthen this process and to increase visibility among the different hospitals and health systems to show that this work is very impactful and that applying for the certification is a driver of change in and of itself. I have also been working on advancing our internal sustainability initiatives. So the Joint Commission, as well as many other hospitals and health systems, have signed on to the Health and Human Services Pledge, the HHS Pledge, to decrease carbon emissions by 50% by 2030. And this is a very extravagant goal. So in order to achieve that, you have to look at your emissions, your carbon emissions as an entire institution. So that ranges from, in terms of the Joint Commission, that ranges from how much electricity we are using on site and the types of food that we are purchasing and the materials that we are using and employee travel. So I've been able to look at all of that data and talking with different individuals among our institution to find innovative, creative ways to lessen those emissions and contribute to that change. Additionally, there is a lot of collaboration with different industries within healthcare. So these industries range from carbon accounting firms to suppliers and manufacturers. And within these meetings, you are trying to find overlaps between the different institutions and, again, achieve the common goal of mitigating carbon emissions within the healthcare sector. Because the healthcare sector is responsible for 8.5 to 10% of all carbon emissions in the United States, it's important to work with different institutions and different organizations as one entity together to mitigate that. And then lastly, for right now that will talk about is the CAHME and the Joint Commission white paper. And I have worked alongside Anthony with CAHME to kind of come up with an idea of what this white paper will focus on and what will be the most impactful. And we decided to focus on my observations at both the Joint Commission and CAHME, that site visit that I will be on, and trying to develop an idea and some strategic recommendations for how you're able to intertwine both healthcare administration, education, and accreditation in the future healthcare systems to show that sustainability is important and it starts at the root of education and it touches everyone and everything within healthcare. So trying to find ways to integrate environmental sustainability education into healthcare administration. In terms of leadership development, this is one phenomenal opportunity to do that. And first and foremost, I'll talk about the conferences that you are able to attend as a fellow. And the first will be ACHE Congress on Healthcare Leadership. And being at this conference I had gone previously last year, and it is very transformational. It's very powerful to be able to see some of the most transformative leaders in healthcare and learning and hearing from them speak, and just a great networking event overall. And then CleanMed is a conference hosted in May. It is hosted by Practice Green Health and Healthcare Without Harm. And these two institutions work together to create resources and guidelines for sustainability in healthcare. So some of the nation's leaders and international leaders all gather at this conference to discuss innovative, creative ways to tackle climate change within healthcare. In terms of mentorship, there is no shortage of mentorship. Starting off with CAHME, Anthony, the president and CEO, has been great at providing help and assistance in this process and being a phenomenal mentor throughout the past more than 2 months, even before I started. And then at the Joint Commission, you have opportunities, obviously Mark, as our executive director of strategic alliances, but you have opportunities to meet with different individuals. So the CEO, the EVP and the COO, the VP of accreditation and certification of product development, the VP of mission development and organization engagement officer, the executive director of hospital accreditation and certification programs, as well as working alongside the director of healthcare sustainability. And in terms of this mentorship, it is, you are able to set up meetings with them one-on-one to learn about what they are doing, their projects, and how you are able to contribute to that. But not only are you providing mentorship in that way, but you are also tackling meetings with these individuals in person as well. So you're able to develop a relationship and learn from those key players and within the Joint Commission as well. As Mark mentioned, our Joint Commission central office is located in Oak Brook Terrace, and Oak Brook Terrace is about 20 miles from Chicago, which I'm sure you're more familiar with. But within Oak Brook Terrace, there are some things to do that are very, thank you, Mark, able to be shared. And Drury Lane Theater is a theater in Oakbrook Terrace, and they host musicals and plays. Right now, I know that they are doing The Little Mermaid, and I also think Queen Elizabeth. So there is a range of things, and the reviews on that are great. If you want to get in touch with nature, if you are in the city, or if you just want to take a walk after work, the Morton Arboretum as well as the York Woods County Forest Preserve are two phenomenal options. And I know Mark has been to the Morton Arboretum before and spoke very highly of it. So Morton Arboretum also has different events. They have concerts, festivals. They do different things during the fall to showcase the leaves and whatnot. But even if you just want to go for a walk and look at the trees, the bushes, the flowers, things like that, it is a great option. Oakbrook also is a center for shopping. So the Oakbrook Center is a great hub where there are lots of stores and shops that you are able to go to. Now I'm sure you're more familiar with Chicago. Chicago, again, like I mentioned, is about 20 miles away from Oakbrook Terrace. And Chicago, first and foremost, need to note that it is a very diverse city with incredible cultural attractions. And this has been one of my favorite parts about living in Chicago for the past 3 years. Being able to go to the different art institutes and museums. So I listed a few here. The Art Institute of Chicago, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Smart Museum, the Field Museum, Adler Planetarium, and then there's a variety of cultural museums that you are able to attend. And it's always very interesting to be able to go to these different museums and see that things change and learn something new every single time you are there. So that is something that is great about Chicago. The outdoor attractions as well. Chicago is known for having some green space and for having outdoor space that you are able to enjoy as a resident. So some that I listed, and this is not all of them because I'm sure wherever you are in the city, if you walk 2 or 3 blocks, there's going to be a park or some green space around. So I would like to mention Millennium Park as well as Grant Park. Grant Park is where they host festivals and things of that sort. So it's a really great area. The Chicago River goes throughout the entire city, so there is a very beautiful river walk with shops and restaurants that you are able to go to. Lake Michigan, as you can see below in the bottom picture, it is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It does not look like a lake. If it is, I mean, it is a lake, but it's the cleanest lake that I've ever seen. It is beautiful and it has beaches right there. And fun fact is that in Chicago, it is the only city that has beaches on the city front. So it's really interesting and neat when you go there. There's some restaurants, you're able to join volleyball leagues. There's some concerts sometimes on the beach. So being able to go to the beach, but then also see the city skyline behind you is beautiful and it's very unique. There's also Navy Pier, which is right with it on the water as well. And Navy Pier has concerts. It has fireworks shows every Wednesday and Saturday in the summer. They have restaurants and they also have the big Ferris wheel, if you've ever seen that too. So lots to do in terms of outdoor attractions. But when weather gets a little bit colder and you may want to spend more time inside, there is no shortage of dining, shopping, and entertainment either. Chicago is known for the wider variety of festivals that they host, not only in the summer, but also throughout all other seasons. So there's music, food, art, and cultural festivals. If you just look up festivals in Chicago this weekend, I'm sure there's 4 or 5 that you'll be able to find. So that's one of my favorite parts about living in the city is being able to go to different festivals and finding a new one. If you're just walking in an area and you stumble across one in a new neighborhood, it's really fun. In terms of dining, I have never had one singular bad meal in Chicago, and I'm not just saying that. You can go anywhere and the food will be phenomenal. There's such a wide variety with the ethnic cuisine as well as farm to table. And if you are into environmental sustainability and want to promote sustainable dining, that is something that I've been trying to get more into. So great options on that side. There's also the theater district that has shows constantly occurring, as well as comedy shows, things of that sort. And then in terms of shopping, every neighborhood you go in is going to be those little boutiques that you're able to go to that are locally owned, as well as the Magnificent Mile, which is right downtown in the Loop that has basically a whole street of big shops and stores that you're able to go. Lastly, I'd like to touch on the sports in Chicago. If that is something that you are into, there is no shortage of teams. There is football, hockey, soccer, basketball, so much. And I did not touch all of them. There are some other teams as well. But you're able to get tickets for relatively discounted prices a lot of times when you live in the city. And it's been really great being able to just pick up and go to a baseball game if you want, or go to a basketball game in the winter if it's cold out. But so I personally live in Chicago right now, and I commute to Oak Brook Terrace, and I could not say enough positive things about the city. I have been able to make it a second home, so I love it here, and it is great. I will turn it back over to Anthony to talk about some of the requirements.
Thank you, Sadie. Thank you, Mark. If you're a student and you've kind of heard this presentation, what you've heard is not only living in truly one of the world-class cities, Chicago, which is amazing, a great city to live in. But I think besides that, this is a really unique opportunity. This is not your typical hospital fellowship. This is really an opportunity to understand how the Joint Commission functions. And every hospital almost every hospital in the United States uses the Joint Commission. You've got a bird's eye view of what's going on. Then in addition to that, you've got an understanding of what CAHME does. And you've got an incredible opportunity to kind of take the two together and, like Sadie's doing, put a paper that says, here's how things can be improved. Here's how things can change. And so I look at this as an opportunity for you, not just to learn, but also to really help make healthcare better. So it's really unique. Now, how can you apply? Well, you go to the CAHME website and you need to submit the following: your resume, a nomination essay. So there are 6 questions on there. And look, these are not copy and paste or cut and paste from other fellowships. What we're looking for, and what we looked for in Sadie when she was accepted, was what's her commitment to sustainability? Does it really matter to her? What has she done with that? What's her commitment to hospitals and healthcare systems? Those are the key things that we look for in there. So these aren't copy and paste. We do read through all of these essays, we summarize them, and then a group of people get together and go, hey, these are the people we want to interview from there. And Sadie, it's a really robust process, as you know. So those essays are ones not to be trifled with. Then a transcript. And right now, an unofficial transcript will do. You don't need to spend money to send us an official transcript. When it comes time and you're one of the finalists, we will ask for an official transcript at that point. And if there's any discrepancy between the two, it will probably reflect very negatively on your process going through. So unofficial is fine, and then official when the time comes. A professional letter of recommendation is important. So we're looking for someone outside of the university who can recommend you. And then finally, we want a letter from your program director. And that letter would recommend you for this fellowship. And if you can't get a program director, or you're not as close to your program director as you are another faculty member at your university, we will accept that as well. So program director preferred, other faculty member that kind of reflects maybe a higher level of understanding of you, that would be acceptable as well. And then also, as people were responding to this, all of you are in a CAHME accredited or CAHME certified program, and that's important as well for this too. These are only open to students from CAHME accredited programs. And if you're not sure whether your program is accredited or not, for people who are tuning into the recorded session, go to CAHME.org and search for your program, or ask your program director. And it's probably the preferable way is to ask your program director, hey, are we CAHME accredited? The website, CAHME.org/Joint Commission, contains a lot of information. It will contain a recording of the session as well as the slides. Some timelines for applications. Friday, September 27th, coming up soon. And we're saying by noon Eastern time, 11:59 Eastern time, applications will be accepted. Interviews will be held in October. And that's a lot different than last year, where we had the interviews a little bit later. We're beginning earlier this year. So October will be the dates of the interviews. The interviews will all be virtual. And then we'll do a selection date. And Mark, I'm right on that, right? They're all virtual interviews. The selection date will be in November. And then we want you to attend the CAHME award ceremony that we have at the American College of Healthcare Executives Congress. It's an event that you really kind of reflects excellence in healthcare management education, and the winning student really reflects a level of excellence that we want to share with the field. The fellowship starts July 1st, 2025, and goes for 1 year. So a 1 year fellowship. So that's the process. And I see a whole bunch of questions. Finally, contact information. If you need more information about this fellowship, contact Brianna, and her email is up on the screen. Don't contact Mark directly or Sadie directly or me directly. Contact Brianna. She will get the answers for you. Also, I strongly encourage you, submit your application through the website. Sending the materials to myself or to Mark or to Sadie won't put you ahead of the pack. We're looking at people who are going through the website. So again, contact Brianna with more information and go to the website, CAHME.org/Joint Commission for more information. So with that, let me look at the questions that are here. So we'll go up to the very first question, which asked about, are there opportunities for volunteer opportunities for CAHME or the Joint Commission? I would say, one of the things that I'd ask you to do if you're interested in doing some volunteer activity with CAHME is to send an email to Brianna with your resume and, where your level of interest and what you would like to do is. And I would probably also say if there's something that you're interested in for the Joint Commission, again, let's kind of have that all go through Brianna, and then we'll filter that over to Mark or to Sadie if there's a level of interest in there. So thank you for that question. But really what we're focusing on today is this fellowship opportunity. Is there an opportunity for non-U.S. residents? And Mark, I'll let you address that. I think you're staying with just U.S. residents, correct?
According to our Human Resources Department, as I typed in there, you must be eligible to work in the U.S. Without an employer sponsorship. So that is some kind of federal expectation that our Human Resources Department follows.
Can we only apply in the last year of our program? So given that the fellowship starts July 1st, 2025, if this is your last year, this current year is your last year, that's the perfect time to begin. If you're going to have your last year be July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, it would, to me, I think there's some things that it depends on there. I think the important part about this fellowship for everyone to understand is this is a full-time fellowship. So this is not, part-time, I'm only going to put 10 hours a week to this. This is a full-time fellowship. And for those of us who've done fellowships, a full-time fellowship to me, when I was doing mine, was far more than 40 hours a week. So I think you have to appreciate that this is a full-time fellowship that you're doing. So someone asked the question about, what if I have a job? How does that work with this? Again, this is a full-time fellowship. And I know some folks who do have a full-time position, and it kind of fits what their opportunities are with what they want to do. They will, end their other job and then begin doing the fellowship as well too. So again, just to make clear, this isn't part-time or, you have another job and you do this one. This is a full-time role. And with that, I think I addressed all the questions in the chat. We can open it up if anyone is.
Anthony, it's Mark. Before we get questions from folks, something that I breezed over, should have spent some time on. This is a hybrid work experience. So what we do require is that the candidate be able to come into our office in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois, 2 days a week. And it's typically today, it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Because what we found during COVID, when we all spent 2 years remote, we never saw each other live in person, face to face, we simply weren't as innovative. as we should be and could be. So the Joint Commission as an organization decided to go to hybrid work. So we do give people the flexibility 3 days a week to work from wherever they are at, be it their residence. If they're traveling to in another city, they can still do all their work remotely. But those 2 days a week are the opportunity to really get in front of coworkers and really be as creative as we need to be. So if people think that, oh, I'd just like to do this from another part of the country, that's going to be a hard commute because you have to come in twice a week.
Thanks, Mark. And it's an amazing opportunity to interface with, yes, truly some of the leaders of the field. John Perlin, who heads the Joint Commission, Dr. Perlin is he's a mover and shaker, and he's someone who really is going to make a difference, not just in a single hospital or community, but I really believe in the United States, hospitals in the United States, but I really kind of think also hospitals globally. And his focus on sustainability and the importance that that has to him, his genuine importance that this has to him, is something truly unique. And to be able to have that experience during this early part of your career is just an amazing thing to have. Dan, you asked, since I'm graduating in spring 2025, can I apply next cycle if I'm unable to apply this cycle? So you're graduating in spring. This would begin July of 2025. So that it actually would be the perfect time for you. Applying now would be the perfect time for you to kind of begin this process. What I think I'm hearing you say is, let's say you applied for the July 25 through June 26 cycle and you didn't make it, and you want to apply for the July 26 through June 27 cycle a year out from now. It would certainly be something to consider. I don't think we would rule you out. Really, the fellowship is designed for someone who, post graduation, kind of moving on forward. But it's I don't think we would rule you out. It would just be a little different. But you would have to be able to quit whatever job that you were doing at that point to kind of move into this. If you're doing a residency too, an administrative residency, this could take the place of a residency. This meets all the requirements of an administrative residency, like what you would have through some of the schools that still have a residency requirements. Residencies and fellowships are structured very similarly. Some schools require residencies to receive your degree. This would be acceptable to those schools as well. And residencies are full-time arrangements. Well, with that, thank you all for joining onto the call today. Again, all of this information will be on the website as well as the recording, and just really, best of luck to you as you go through the fellowship process. It's hard, but I think the fact that you're thinking about doing one, to me, really represents that you're investing in yourself.